I am Kabbani, and this is the Lighthouse for today's viewers. Welcome to our show. The People and the Olive. It's the name of the film what we will watch today. A group of American runners working hard, partnering with Mr. Nasser Abu Farha, the founder of Fair Trade Association in Canaan Fair Trade in Palestine, to have, in reality, an experience about life in Palestine. And they work for 5 days, ran 129 miles across West Bank in Gaza, and gave us the chance to see what they found and what they practice in reality. Without any further information, I will let you go with the film. Just relax and take a deep breath and think about what you will see. Let's watch it together.
This is Jakob Wheeler. We are thrilled to be here for the Run Across Palestine. It's a 5-day, 129-mile run across the West Bank of Palestine to raise funds to replant olive trees and to raise awareness about the struggles that Palestinian olive farmers face every day.
We are in Twani today, and it's a beautiful village. Everybody has welcomed us here already, and we brought with us 500 saplings, olive saplings, that we are going to plant here.
These farmers came to us and said, you know, we're losing trees. Some people aren't able to plant trees for the next generation, even though they're living off trees that somebody planted for them. We're going to run across this region, bring lots of attention to the struggles of these farmers, and plant thousands of trees along the way.
When I got involved and I got interested in the project, it absolutely had nothing to do with politics. It really was about humans reaching out to humans.
I'm just so excited to be in the thick of what we've been seeing all over the news and to really see it firsthand.
A little nervous at how I'm going to hold up, but the only thing I can say is I expect to be in some pain here in the next 5 days.
I'm excited to get on the ground, meet the people, especially the women and the children of the families.
I'm just hoping to kind of soak up everything, take it back home, and make a record that can translate to folks in America and, you know, hopefully folks around the world, to give them kind of a slice of what's happening over here.
The Run Across Palestine is a philanthropic venture organized by Traverse City, Michigan-based On the Ground,
which works to help farming communities around the world. In 2011, On the Ground used a similar fundraising model for the Run Across Ethiopia, where a group of American and Ethiopian runners ran 250 miles in 12 days, raising over $200,000 to build 3 schools in Ethiopia.
This is really an opportunity for all of us to learn more about the rich culture and peaceful people that exist in Palestine. And that's something we don't see in our news enough.
You know, we only see them as this newsreel on TV, and we don't hear about are the 99.9% of the people who are trying to just make a living every day and educate their children and have somewhat of a fulfilling life.
We're teaming up with the Palestine Fair Trade Association, a collective of farmers building a better future through their dream of a more economically and environmentally sustainable way to produce their food. They'll be our hosts during the run as we work our way toward the finish line in Burkina at the headquarters of Canaan Fair Trade, the largest fair trade olive oil company in Palestine, which is headed by the PFTA founder Nasser Abu Farha.
Our trees are 1,000 years old, 500 years old, 2,000 years old, and these have been raised by the same hands that raised us. The Palestinian proverb that says غرسوا فأكلنا ونغرس فيأكلون. They planted, so we ate, and we plant, so they eat.
The olive tree contributes to about like 40% of Palestinian agriculture economy. Nearly 60% of Palestinian arable land is planted with olive trees.
For most people, it's a food source. For majority of the farmers, it's an income source. It's a main income that supports for their livelihood. So we have a connection with our fathers and grandfathers through the olive tree. We have connections to our children because we leave the olive trees for our children, for their future, to support their livelihoods. So the olive tree has a significance in that it became to represent a symbol for Palestinian identity and its presence in the landscape. What we see on the run, people around the world will see, and that will be the story of the farmers.
In Twani, they are surrounded by a settlement, and so for them to plant a tree is very important because it's going to reinforce their presence and also their future here and the future of their community.
There's 1,000,001 different mechanisms by which Palestinian farmers are being alienated from their land. And Twani is a perfect example of how these policies of control and oppression and impoverishment work.
The estimation of olive trees destroyed since the year 2001 until today is nearly 500,000 olive trees.
Palestine has an estimated 7.6 million olive trees. 2.1 million trees, the farmers are denied access to service them, or collect them, or harvest them.
Imagine 700 kilometers long wall going through the West Bank, how much land it has destroyed.
That's a lot of land, a lot of lost income, a lot of destroyed livelihoods.
We've been with farmers that have olive trees destroyed who would describe it as, when they were destroying my tree, I felt like they were destroying one of my children.
The idea of uprooting our trees, it's symbolic of wanting to uproot us from this land.
It's a family that used to get olives when their trees were there. They have to buy it now. They will suffer from it for years to come.
This means less money to buy clothes, less money to buy food, less money to build houses.
For us, it's a matter of survival. If the tree doesn't survive, I don't survive.
It's a concerted campaign to destroy that part of the Palestinian agriculture, and settlers are a big part of that.
The State of Israel has about 130 settlements in the West Bank, about 12 settlements around Jerusalem, and has nearly 600,000 Israeli citizens living in settlements inside the West Bank as a direct violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention. The Fourth Geneva Convention states clearly that any occupying power should not transfer its civilian citizens to live permanently in a territory it occupies. That's exactly what the State of Israel is doing.
Settlers' main target are olive trees. They demolish or they burn down thousands of olive trees every year with impunity.
They always believe that Palestinians never exist, right? They have no identity. So in order to make sure that we have no identity left, they need to eliminate the evidence for our existence.
Even when they don't burn the trees, Palestinian farmers aren't allowed freely to harvest their olives or harvest their crops and so on.
يعني الخطة اللي بيقوم فيها المستوطن يبدو انها مدروسة يعني من قبل المتخصصين في الجهات الإسرائيلية اللي هم الإدارة المدنية والجهة الثانية. يعني تكسير الشجر أو تصميم الأراضي أو ضرب الناس اللي هنا أو الأطفال أو تعطيل على المدارس يعني هي سياسة يعني بحد ذاتها تهجير للمنطقة بس بطريقة حديثة.
20 falls within the territory that Israel wants. The people of 20 are simply in the wrong place.
We came here with an interesting idea to run all the way across the West Bank of Palestine in hopes to raise awareness about the plight of the people. And we chose to start here for one simple reason, because it is here that you are persevering and struggling, and it's here that you show the endurance in order to stay on your land. We thank you for receiving us here today. Shukran.
Some people hungry for a greenback bill. Some folks hunger for the top of the hill. Some people just trying to get a decent meal. But I know that we can turn it around.
That first night it was a trip. I didn't know what the reception was going to be like. I mean, one of the most beautiful things about art and music is that it brings people together. I'm in the process of writing the tunes for a record based on this experience. The record is going to be very personal, and a big part of that is the fact that I'm Jewish. I'm a Jewish American. As bar mitzvahed, I was raised in shul, and I was raised with a tzedakah box, give money to Israel on the kitchen counter, and we'd put all our spare change in it and send it to Israel. There's a very strong, my family, a very, very strong sense of need for the Israeli state. It was a tough trip to take in that respect, but I feel like it was an important trip to take. I feel a connection to the Palestinians that we met there. I feel a connection as well to Israelis and Jews. That's the most important thing that I came away with on this trip, was building relationships with people that I otherwise would not have built relationships with and might have still had this wall inside myself.
In order to pull something off like the run across Palestine takes an enormous amount of planning. But we really don't know what's going to happen until we do run. And one of the things that we're sure of is that we're going to face a lot of the challenges that our Palestinian counterparts face every day.
So the run across Palestine began today, this morning, in Atawani, the village in the South Hebron Hills.
احنا دائما في كل يوم في كل صبح بيجوا الجيش زي ما انت شايف كل يوم، وحماية ودعم للمستوطنين، بيقذفوا حجار على الشباب وعلى أطفال المدرسة، بيعملوا إعاقات للأطفال المدرسة اللي ما يصلوا لمدرسة الثواني.
All right, ready to do it? Yes. I think I have to tell you, it's really just the last night. We've been receiving so many emails of support and solidarity from New York, from San Francisco, from France, from the UK, from Wisconsin, from Michigan, from all over the world. Loads of email in my inbox. Support you, way to go. Everybody is with you. And obviously all of the farmers are so excited for what you've done and what you're doing. We might encounter some barriers, but that's just what we're here for, to break down barriers. We've broken down so many barriers by being here in the first place. And we're helping the farmers overcome barriers that have been placed in their lives and build the bridges as we go along from here all the way to Jenin.
Are the runners all ready?
Yeah!
Thank you for showing up. Jenin is that way. Let's go! Within a mile or so of running that morning, we were then immediately followed by military vehicles.
The force that's often there to protect settlers wasn't used to seeing a bunch of multinationals and foreigners running down a barren stretch of highway in the West Bank. They stopped us, an argument ensued. It became clear that they had no policy to address ultra-marathoners on these roads.
Anywhere else in the world we can run right here or walk right here.
And they told us that if we stuck to the side part of the road and avoided the pavement itself, there would be no arrests.
They said that if any runner, any of us, gets on the road, they will arrest us.
Yeah.
Not us.
Right.
We're in trouble no matter what we do. If we run, we're in trouble. They said, we said, okay, we'll walk on the dirt. They still said, you can't. So basically what they're saying is, we're not allowed to be here. They don't like what we're doing.
But 2 kilometers after the initial stop, Israeli police and the military stopped us again.
It was kind of surreal to see the challenge that it became just to cross a piece of land on foot. I've run all over the world, and I've never been told that it's illegal to be a pedestrian. It wasn't a freeway, it wasn't a highway, it was just a rural road.
A force of 15 officers, law enforcement officers, gathered to combat a court of only about 15 runners, including 3 French activists who we had picked up along the way.
And they were human rights observers working for Operation Dove. So they had requested that day if they could just run with us, because we met them in Tuani, and we said, sure, join us for the day.
A showdown ensued for about an hour and a half that alternated between being tense and comical, farcical, that a military would feel threatened by a bunch of American ultra-marathoners running down the road.
I've run in over 10 countries in the world, and many times for philanthropic reasons, and I'm amazed that for some reason it's illegal to walk or run along the side of the road. So it really goes to show the situation here. It's a completely safe environment. I feel completely safe. The only place that I feel threatened is by the military.
It became just kind of ridiculous, the whole situation, but then when it escalated, it had a realness to it.
Are you arresting him?
Yes.
You are arresting him? Yes. He's telling me I can't stay with Nasser, but I'm going to stay with Nasser. I'm not going to leave him.
Ultimately, Run Across Palestine supporter Nasser Abu Farha and 2 French activists were detained and arrested by the Israeli military and police.
Nasser was arrested simply for being Palestinian. There's no question about it.
We're really concerned about Nasser because just of the repercussions that arrest could have on him.
We have called the American embassy and we have told them that they have arrested Nasser. And we've also called a lawyer to see what we can do to get him released. We don't know where they took him. We do not know anything about him. Hopefully we can get him out and continue the run.
We Palestinians are 11 million people today. 7 million of us are refugees or displaced people. This didn't happen by accident. This didn't happen in the course of normal situations. This happened by a meticulous process of European Zionists who came to Palestine with the intention of transforming a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural society to make it this thing called the Jewish state. Israel was created in 1948, largely on the ruins of Palestine. This is a process of what we call today ethnic cleansing. It's colonialism. It is something that Americans should also connect with, because certainly I'm an American citizen, by the way, and so I can say we did this before to the Native Americans. We removed them from their lands, we put them on reservations. Palestinians have been removed from their lands and are being put in very large reservations. And people in the US relate to it also when they think about the civil rights movement in the US and Martin Luther King and all this movement that happened in the South. And we face the same kind of thing, whether we're trying to ride on buses or we're trying to move from one place to another. Now, we have places that are segregated, that are for a certain group of people. And this certain group of people is more privileged than us. And why? Not because we're not the same species, the same human species, but simply because this one group believes in a certain way.
Ultimately, the runners resumed the first day of the run across Palestine and ran down the hill to finish the day in Beit Umar.
Beit Omar is a center for an emergence of nonviolent struggle throughout the West Bank that's reminiscent of the civil rights movement in the United States in the 60s.
Obviously, we've gone through some serious challenges. Nasser has been arrested. We're working on trying to get him out. We hope what we can. But in the meantime, we have to keep planting trees and not lose the joy of this run, because our joy is our strength. In that spirit, I hope that you will still plant trees and be joyful, and we'll get Nasser out.
We are organizing a weekly protest here in Beit Umar. It is surrounded by 6 Israeli settlements. And in our protest, it is a non-violent protest. When we go there, we are carrying our goodwill, we are carrying our deep belief in peace. We are going today towards Karmet Sur settlement, where we are going to plant olive trees. And also, we are going to deliver our message, the message of the Palestinians, which is our ongoing call to end the settlement, to end the war, and on top of all, to end the occupation. From our side, we are never violent. We always expect violence from their side.
The goal of our administration is to support farmers. They can work close to the colony. But always the soldiers, they are waiting for us, and they don't want any farmers to be close to any colony, like to work there. And the soldiers, many times, they are attacking our protesters, and they beating people, they arresting people.
Chris and Timothy took us all aside and said if it was crossing any boundary of our comfort level that we didn't have to be involved. But for me personally, the planting of the trees is one of the most symbolic acts of the whole project, and something that I physically wanted and needed to do.
We believe this is only the way how we can finish the occupation, is to resist every week until we have our freedom.
So this is the land of the Palestinians, and on the other side of the settlement fence is originally land of the Palestinians, but the settlers took it over, and they've also refused to allow the Palestinians to plant right here. And so the farmer who owns that land and this land lost all of that harvest as a result of the settlement being here. So by planting trees here and making a statement that this is Palestinian land, it isn't even on the other side of the fence yet. They can't even plant their own trees.
Our try to construct, you will see their constant try to destruct, and you will make your own judgment.
The resistance that we experienced to the simple act of planting trees was so over the top that, again, it just sort of played into that ridiculousness, if it weren't such a sad story, that Palestinians have to deal with on a daily basis just to survive and farm.
If you would have asked me before we got there if I thought that the IDF or the Israeli military was going to meet us with rubber bullets, machine guns, and tear gas at the thought of us putting some 1.5 foot tall olive trees in an olive grove of a Palestinian farmer's land, I would have thought that that was a bit over the top, and it happened. It was one of the most eye-opening moments of the trip, but in a really sad way.
I'm out on bail and I have a court scheduled for June 26. The false charges against me that I have organized an illegal demonstration. Obviously these are false charges because there was no, number one, there was no demonstration, and number two, if there is, it's illegal in the Israeli legal code to run. We were not running in Israel. We were running in Palestine, and the Israeli legal code does not apply in Palestine. So we will take up these charges in the future, but I'm happy that you guys continued the run and you planted trees, and we're going to continue planting more trees from here to Jenin.
Yay! The only reason that Nasser is not in jail today is he's not an average poor Palestinian. Because of his role with Canaan Fair Trade, he has met many international dignitaries and has connections, with other governments and our State Department, and so he was able to make some phone calls and be released from jail within a few hours. But had he been an average Palestinian, he would still be in jail today.
With the challenges that we faced just from the very get-go, I started to wonder, how bad is this going to get for us?
We shall not be moved like a tree that's rooted on the mountain. We shall not be moved. I got all my brothers, we shall not be moved. I've got all my brothers, we shall not be moved like a tree that's rooted by the mountain. We shall not be moved against the occupation. We shall not be moved against the
I'm gonna remember this. Put it in the bank.
يعني هو الناس بيجوروا الأرض بيزرعوا شجر. أهلي من بيت عمر، نعم. وأنا في بيت عمر. ناخذ مثلا نوري الجدار بحل في فلسطين في الضفة الغربية في بيت عمر وين ما كان بنوريه مناطق وين اليهود باخذوا شو اليهود بيخربوا شو اليهود بيخلقوا في شجر للعالم شو بيخربوا بيهدوا دور شو بيعملوا اليهود. الأرض يعني احنا بالنسبة لنا لها قيمة يعني وشرف للبني آدم.
Yeah, we had a very warm welcome coming in yesterday after a bit of a stressful morning, so it was really nice to be welcomed here. We had wonderful accommodations, wonderful food. The entertainment last night was very nice, and we thank you very much.
Thank you for you and good luck for your travel. And I'm sure you will succeed.
And I just want to say it's really all the power that we're getting is from you runners, all the energy from you. We are so inspired by your energy, your persistence and your perseverance. You're the greatest. We're just tagging along. You're doing the work. I know that. So it's all in your blood, it's all in your muscles and your determination. You're amazing.
Each day you're also carrying the burden of the farmers with you. You're sweating the way our farmers sweat, and you are also carrying the struggle with you as you are also struggling to make it through the finish line. All right, let's run! Before you get to the gate, there's a left turn. You're gonna turn the left turn. Okay. And I'm not running with you ever again. So.
The wall was probably one of the more powerful moments of my life. Just to see it and feel it in all my travels. Nothing has ever had such a sad impact.
This is the wall that separates Bethlehem and Jerusalem, and this is the wall where, unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to our Palestinian team from Palestinian Fair Trade Association because as Palestinians, they're not allowed into Jerusalem.
It's really sad to see. And then at the same time has this amazing, incredibly moving and beautiful graffiti. It's not graffiti, it's total art.
Art is so powerful in so many ways. It brings people together, it sends a message, it sends a clear message. This can send a clearer message than 1,000 speeches can.
Because it's just an expression of what that wall makes people feel.
The only comparison I have is, having experienced the Berlin Wall in the 80s. The people who build the walls always say that it's for security, but actually it never really is. It's all about keeping ideas and people and communities apart and isolating the people that are inside those walls.
It's time to push for peace, which will be good, by the way, for both Palestinians and Israelis. When we Palestinians are free, Israelis are free. Israelis cannot be free while we are still encaged in these walls. The walls, by the way, work both ways. Israel is also inside of walls, if you want. Israel is also feeling besieged. And they cannot, as Israeli citizens, they cannot feel safety and security based on injustice, inhumanity, and maintaining millions of refugees outside their own country simply because we want to maintain the so-called Jewish character of the State of Israel. That is not acceptable in international law.
Some people say that we came from, our families, our people came from the ghettos and from the concentration camps here to establish a state, and now we put a wall in one side and then we'll put a wall in another side and eventually we'll close it from above and we'll be locked in a ghetto of our own. You're not going to have much peace and security if you treat your neighbors people amongst you as less human than you.
How do you feel right now that you can't come with us to Jerusalem?
I feel really sad because, first of all, I was born in Jerusalem and I love Jerusalem and I'd love to go with you.
Even though you're a U.S. citizen, you come and visited us in Michigan, but you're not allowed to join us.
No, I am not. When I arrive at the borders, they take my American passport and they stamp it with my Palestinian ID. It's part of a policy that says once a Palestinian, always a Palestinian.
What would it be like for you the day that you awoke and there was no longer there was no longer an occupation? I almost lost it just now. There was no longer an occupation. You were able to cross into Jerusalem. What would that day be like for you? What's the first thing that you would do in Jerusalem?
I think I'd run to Jerusalem. But that day is going to happen. It's going to happen soon. So I am committed not to raise my children in a segregated world.
Our Palestinian friends, our drivers, are all saying see you tomorrow, because of course we'll see them tomorrow when we're back in the West Bank for day 3 of the run. But when we leave and walk to the checkpoint and then say see you tomorrow, it almost seems like tomorrow has a different meaning, right? It's not just 24 hours from now, but it's some day in the future that we can't comprehend. So it's doublespeak to say see you tomorrow.
The bitter taste that it left for us when we were entering Jerusalem was a difficult pill to swallow. We as North Americans can go right into Jerusalem, yet our Palestinian friends who were born there can't even return to their home community. They've been isolated and locked out. And there's nothing else to call that but apartheid.
We're gonna go up toward. Go up toward the Hebrew. I don't know what our route is.
One way or another, we're gonna get out of Jerusalem.
We're going that
today.
way and that way.
And we're gonna end up in what city?
I'm not sure.
7 days. Did you have enough coffee this morning?
We're just gonna run for about 6 hours, where we will be greeted by people and plant olive trees. That's our day.
coming here and seeing what I've seen firsthand has been emotionally a lot tougher than I expected it to be. I have a very strong connection culturally to the Jewish people and to all the oppression we've gone through, and to see that oppression turned around and used kind of in a way to oppress other people is difficult personally.
I think everyone chooses a different way to cope with it.
Yonatan is an amazing guy. He's an Israeli who's a decorated Air Force pilot, flew helicopters for the Israeli Army, flew lots and lots of missions. He does a lot of work with Palestinians and is a very local Israeli in the nonviolent protest movement on the Palestinian side. We got to talk a lot at a point when I was feeling all this stuff, all these really confusing things.
There is a really interesting tradition of struggling against oppression. In every holiday is somehow linked to a foreign occupier. Hanukkah is fighting against the Greek occupation. Passover is fighting against the oppression and slavery in Egypt. All this tradition, whether it happened or not, it's about oppression and struggling for freedom and liberation. So it's the most traditional thing in a way for me to connect to my roots by joining any kind of initiative for liberation. And in this case, the Jews are the Palestinians.
We're crossing out of Jerusalem. Done, hour and a half of running, so I'm feeling pretty good.
So what's happening now is we are at Qalandia checkpoint waiting for the runners to come out.
What our media shows us. So until you get here and you talk with the people, you don't know the full story.
Once you are here, you'll see it for yourself. Who's the oppressor, who's the hostile, and who's the person who has to pay the price and face the consequences. Come and spend 5 minutes, you'll see it by yourself.
It's a very stark contrast between Jerusalem and where we are now, which is in Ramallah or close to Ramallah.
Yeah, near Ramallah, yeah.
And before in Jerusalem, it was a little worrisome if people figured out what we were doing. It didn't feel super safe. And then as soon as we got into here, we've got the Palestinian flags, we've got the stickers on their back, and people are honking and cheering and yelling, "Free Palestine!" and peace sign. And then we had police escorts, and it's just been very friendly, very encouraging, and very, very different from what we experienced.
So how you feeling? I'm okay, I'm hanging in there.
Feel great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I was feeling a little bit better 3 hours ago.
So the runners are all wearing totally different wardrobes. They're not uniform at all. We've got Palestinian friends, sport coats and jeans. We've got runners. We've got Timothy wearing pajamas. This guy looks like a hipster out of Williamsburg or something.
I'm running! The runners seem to be in high spirits. I think they're very tired, but I understand. Because today, tank not stopped by any military, and so they were able to truly do the marathon and run 42 kilometers. So they're truly exhausted, really tired. Their spirits are high.
This feels a lot better.
A small gift from Harura from the group.
4 hours and 15 minutes of movement.
This is the hard part, it's the final part, but once we get there, there's gonna be food and music and party waiting for us.
So we got to the top of the hill.
Hello.
In the village, and there are tons of guys that look like Boy Scouts, except they've got Palestinian colors. The Boy Scouts of Palestine greeted us here. It's a happy scene. After an uphill, a few of our runners were really tired, but they made it. Knees, elbows, tired legs and all.
Hello. How are you? Well, you? I'm the governor of the state. Nice to meet you too. Thank you for everything you're doing for us.
The governor just greeted us. She said something really beautiful, actually. She said that she considers this marathon not just a marathon across Palestine, but a marathon all over the world, because all the runners are now ambassadors to tell the story of the Palestinian people. Guys, this is gonna be beautiful. I love this run up this hill. I've done it so many times. No, but enjoy. You go this way, you go down, and then you start going a little bit up, and we'll see you in Salfit.
I remember when we were training and Chris Streeter said there might be some hills in Palestine. And boy, were there some hills in Palestine. I gave him a couple Charlie horses to make up for that little fib. You're climbing, like you're seriously climbing. And then when you're that tired, a decline is no more forgiving than an incline. Everything hurts. The up and down was brutal, but also made it really beautiful.
Oh, wow.
This is what I'm wearing on the plane. How's it gonna look? Huh? What do you think? You think I'll get through security?
وليد ضياء ألف رامي محمد أنا محمد حسن سالم محمد
So the runners about to board the bus. Our friends, our farmer friends in PFTA have determined that this could be a sketchy 3-4 kilometers coming up because of Israeli settlements that have on occasion acted very aggressively toward Palestinian farmers in the past. We want the run to finish, so we don't want to be troubled by the military or by violent settlers.
In every runner's mind, really the biggest concern was the safety of our Palestinian support team. We are driving a vehicle with Palestinian plates, and all of our team was, obviously very concerned that some of our support staff could get arrested or hassled, and so we just didn't want to take that chance. It's unfortunate because it does shorten up our run a little bit, and here's a piece of the reality that maybe we're not telling that story, but it's important that we, I think, bypass this section.
But actually the fact that we have to consider where we walk, where we don't walk, where we have to get in a car, where we don't have to get in a car is part of the Palestinian experience as well, is that we have to always consider creative ways and ways just to get around really difficult situations. So in a way, you're having a Palestinian experience in that way.
Felt a lot better 3 hours ago.
3 hours and 45
about 7 miles left. Pretty tired. We're collectively, as a group of runners, all trying to figure out how much farther we have to go.
Surrounded by olive trees. It's all olive trees that belong to the fair trade, the Palestine Fair Trade Association.
جمعية تانا بشؤون المزارعين الزيتون تهتم أيضا بعملية التصدير للخارج على اعتبار مساعدة الفلاح الفلسطيني والمزارع الفلسطيني على التعاون وعلى أنه يأخذ حقه بالكامل، يعني يكون هناك في عدالة بالسعر للمنتج اللي هو بنتجه، وعملية التصدير طبعا بيعود بدفع كبير على المواطنين والمزارعين بشكل عام.
Fair trade puts a face on our food. I mean, if you think about it, every coffee bean, every, olive, every grain of sugar has a face that comes with it and a story. Somebody created that product for you. And we can assure that there's some mechanisms in place that those people are going to be treated fairly.
طبعا لا مبسوطة أنا يعني إني صرت أبيعه مرة واحدة زيته يعني مكان نبيعه بس مش السعر منيح هون وهناك بس هسه يعني فرق بين ما تبيعي بالتنكي فرق بين ما تبيعي بالكمية يعني صرت زيتش مرة واحدة تاخذ الشركة بيجي أحسن.
Fair trade creates the mechanisms for a farmer to sell directly to a consumer. So it's enabled farmers in some cases to make 2-3 times what they used to make for these commodities.
The main thing that we are not just a business making profits, we are also working to empower the local community, social empowerment, economic empowerment, environment sustainability.
A beautifully set up co-op, an organic farm, a fair trade association. It's like the way our food should be. And what I think Nasser has done there is really set an example that so many other people need to follow. And he's done it in a challenging environment. And so that food and that olive oil tells that story. And it's a great tool to tell the story.
I'm really glad we don't have to run anymore today. My feet hurt. This was a doozy. This one was a doozy.
One more tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you. We were very busy.
How far did you run today, do you know? How far did you run today?
We ran 10 kilometers for 5 hours straight.
Wow.
10 more kilometers.
We kept on saying throughout the run that it wasn't just an ultra marathon, it was a cultural marathon as well. When we'd get into these villages, we'd have these receptions. The day when we were covering the miles was important, but it was just as important what we were doing at night with these communities.
Oh, وسهلا بكم يا خيرة الزوار فيكم رسمنا الفرح عشفاف أوطاني نحن فتحنا القلب للي إجا عالدار إن شاء الله تضلوا لنا والدار عمران يلا يعقوب يلا يلا ناصر خليك تطلع يا جدي ¿Qué pasó?
¿Qué está pasando?
ليها بكت حلوة
يا جماعة
Our caretakers from the Palestine Fair Trade Association, they were so attentive and so great. We'd come stumbling down in the morning getting ready to run, and there'd be pita and hummus and olive oil and cheese and olives and all these amazing things. It was the best running fuel and so good. I can't talk enough about how good the olive oil and the olives and the food is there.
I'd like to thank the support team, the drivers, everybody from the PFTA, and Khadir for having us here in his beautiful house. And he just told me a saying that the guest in Palestine, the guest gets all of the house, and the owner has the steps. And we've seen that everywhere in Palestine. Everybody's been so welcoming and incredible, and we just feel so thankful and grateful to be here.
I think we're about probably where you would expect after the kind of miles in the mountains we've been traversing for the last 2 days especially. So I'm not surprised that we've got some people, you know, that are in a lot of pain, but they're going to give it their best, which they've been doing more than enough of along this route so far. Got more locals running with us today. The spirits are high. I think, you know, and we've got the end in sight, you know, so everybody's pretty excited.
Khadir is an incredible farmer and he's an incredible person.
سنوات من أول يوم من بداية كان التجارة جمعية فلسطين للتجارة العالمية.
He was living and working in the plastic factories in Israel for a long time when he was a teenager. He never thought to return home to the village because he never thought agriculture would actually, you know, be enough for him to make a living. So his father convinced him to go back to the village when the Palestine Fair Trade Association was started. And in the beginning he said he hated agriculture, but now actually he found his love for agriculture and he's kind of a leading force in his village.
الحالي يعني كل شيء. يعني كنت في البداية لا بس اليوم بشتغل فيها. عايش عليها طبعا تقريبا يعني مستوى حياتي في الأرض وفي شغلي في الأرض يعني.
He's creating a movement in his village that's turning really the whole village almost organic.
معيشتي وبعتبرها شغلة وطنية. ثبتني أنا في أرض إني يعني ما كنتش بطلع على الأرض أصلا بس صارت بتثبتني في الأرض طبعا أنا بشتغل فيها كل الوقت أنا وعيلتي.
And he's also an inspiration for many young people.
تعاونية صار لي ندور في الأرض صار لي ندور يقعدين مع الناس يطلعين مع الناس يشاركين مع الناس يعني إحنا مثلا في موسم عصافة الجازوت تيجي تلك الزلمة والمرأة وجاري كلها نسوان مع زلامي بتشتغل زيها وتمارس حياتها زيها يعني مش إني أنا زلمي لازم أشتغل يضل بالدار يعني هذا أخذته أنا برضه من التجارة العادلة وأخذته من جمعية فلسطين للتجارة.
And in his own words, he always says that the most beautiful part about being an independent, small-scale farmer, a fair trade farmer, is that he's free. His time, he owns his own time, and that when he goes home now, he doesn't have to sleep in a plastic factory, but he can sleep in his wife's arms.
Don't you cry, sweet little babe. Between the just from this old guitar and play Joe Clark and the riverboat band. Don't you cry, sweet little baby, between the violins. Yeah, leave a key upon your doorstep. Save the room, Habibi.
I have to tell you what Abu Amjad just said. He said
Thank
something
you.
really beautiful. He said that he's willing to sell half an acre of his land just to come to the U.S. and see you.
Shukran. That would be lovely. حبك والله بس إن شاء الله قلبك عني ما يتخلى ما تقليلي ما اشتقتي أنا ما صدقت رجعتي حبك والله بس إن شاء الله قلبك عني ما يتخلى ما تقليلي ما اشتقتيلي أنا ما صدقت رجعتيلي أكتر من حبك ما بدي وأغلى من عيونك ما عندي أكتر من حبك ما بدي وأغلى من عيونك ما عندي
When we crossed that finish line, I think we didn't know what to expect.
It was really a beautiful feeling. The whole community in Birqin and Jenin was just carrying the runners on their shoulders. It was really, really an incredible moment of solidarity.
It was this washing, like this overwhelming wash of just emotion. The emotional finish line and threshold that we all crossed that day was something I've never experienced, and it was completely overwhelming.
I mean, somebody has to trust somebody else here somewhere. You know, it's all people, and most people just want to love each other and celebrate and eat well and have a place to live.
It was complete raw emotion and a really strong sense of unity with my teammates and everybody that had made the journey happen.
Part of this project has been all along break down the assumptions of us and them and connect people at the human level. Bravo! You made it! You're amazing, you're wonderful. You gave us so much hope, the energy, the determination, the perseverance that you exhibited, and watching you, you gave us so much hope and so much power to carry on. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to Palestine. Thank you. You've been the best ambassador, and we love working with you. We love connecting with you, and we have a true friend in America. Thank you for being that friend.
there's probably nothing more amazing than what they are doing right now, because as we've been told all the times that we've come here, that these trees live for centuries, and so families name these trees. They know the name of every tree in their orchard, and it passes on from generation to generation. So to me, I think this is the most overwhelming thing that's happened to me since I've been here. God, I'm such a sap. But anyway, but literally, the meaning of that they would dedicate a tree to us when the tree means so much to the Palestinian people is beyond any sort of thank you anyone could have said or done, or any gesture. This I will never, ever forget.
The run is just the start of a long relationship. I feel that the runners' lives have forever changed, so have the lives of the communities that we have visited.
These olive trees on their landscape they're the witness of time as it goes by.
It's like the most thoughtful thing. I love it. I love my tree.
I sat there and I thought about what that tree has seen in 200 years and what I hope that it will see in the future.
I think it was clear what the film brought us, what the group brought us. I really appreciate their work and happy to get a chance to give it to you as experience. And I want you to think positive and think deeply how we can help those people to live happily with their olive trees, their love, their line of life. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
All along the valley, the outskirts of town, gathered in the orchard, holding tight to this spot to ground we can stand together, patient and strong. Oh Lord, you won't be long. You may be uprooted, you may be cast down, you may move freely, you may be bound, but we'll stand together, patient and strong. Consumed in fear, but it will stand together, patient strong. Oh Lord, you won't be long. If it isn't sharpened, our axe is gonna rust. Our heart is harder. If it knows no trust, but it will stand together, patient strong.